For 27 years, everyone thought they knew why Marla Maples left Donald Trump. The affair, the tabloids, the headline that chased her for the rest of her life. All of it real, and none of it the reason. Because the thing that actually ended this marriage was not a scandal. It was a document. A few pages she signed just days before the wedding, in a hotel suite, weeks after giving birth. And what those pages did to her, the day the marriage was over, is the part of this story almost no one tells. Stay with us, because to understand what Marla Maples finally walked away from, you have to go back to the way she walked in. And she did not walk in the way the fairy tale remembers it. Before the world knew her name, Marla Maples was a girl from Dalton, Georgia, church on Sunday. Beauty pageants and honor rolls, a father in the local building trade, and a mother who kept the family close. It was the kind of small-town, God-fearing upbringing she would talk about for the rest of her life. The kind a lot of you recognize because you were raised in one too. She was pretty, she was ambitious, and she believed, the way you do at 20, that a good heart and hard work were enough to get you somewhere clean. In 1985, she moved to New York City to be an actress. She wanted to be seen for her talent. She did some modeling, a few small parts, the ordinary grind of a Southern girl chasing a big city dream, and then she got something she never once auditioned for. She got watched. By 1989, her name was in every newspaper in America, and not a single one of those stories was about a role she had landed. Every one of them was about a married man. His name was Donald Trump, and even then, he was one of the most famous businessmen in the country. He was married to Ivana Trump, the mother of his 3 children, a sharp and glamorous woman who had helped build the very empire his name was printed on. To the public in the late 1980s, the Trumps were the golden couple of a golden age, the people on the magazine covers you passed at the checkout. Let us be honest about how this began, because you have lived long enough to know the difference between a love story and a headline. Marla Maples did not meet Donald Trump as a single woman. She met him as the other woman. Photographers caught them at events, on his yacht, in the places powerful men take the women they are not married to. And for a while, the tabloids did not shame her for it. They made her a star for it. That is the part people forget. Before she was ever a wife, she was a scandal that sold papers, and everyone involved knew it. Then came Aspen, the winter of 1989 going into 1990, on the ski slopes of Colorado. The wife and the other woman finally stood face to face in the snow, in public, in front of anyone who happened to be watching. Ivana Trump would later describe that confrontation in her own memoir. 2 women, 1 man standing in the cold saying the quiet parts out loud. Whatever exactly was said that day, and the 2 of them never fully agreed on it. The image did the damage. The perfect Trump marriage was over, and now the whole country had a front row seat. Not long after came the tabloid front page that would follow Marla Maples for 30 years. A quote about Donald Trump, so crude it does not need repeating here, splashed in huge letters across a New York paper. She swore for the rest of her life that she never said it. It did not matter. The line was too good to die, and the public kept it long after they forgot she had denied it. By 1990, she was so worn down by the cameras that she left the country for a while and did humanitarian work in Guatemala just to breathe air that did not have a lens in it. And still, when she came home, she stayed with him. Then the wife became the ex-wife. Donald Trump's marriage to Ivana Trump ended in a divorce that was, at the time, one of the most public and most expensive anyone had ever seen. The road was clear, and in October 1993, Marla Maples gave birth to their daughter, Tiffany. 2 months later, in December, they were married at the Plaza Hotel in Manhattan in front of more than 1,000 guests. The bride wore a beaded gown with a long train. The cake was enormous. If you were alive for it, you very likely saw the pictures on a magazine cover, in a grocery store checkout line, right there next to the gum and the batteries. For one glittering night, it looked like the fairy tale had won. The other woman had become the wife, and the scandal had a happy ending. But here is what the cover left out. Days before that wedding, Marla Maples was handed a prenuptial agreement. Picture it honestly for a moment. A brand new mother, still weeks out from giving birth, still healing, being sat down in a room full of lawyers and asked to read, line by line, the terms of exactly how this marriage would end before it had even started. Fresh off his costly divorce from Ivana Trump, Donald Trump was not going to walk into another marriage unprotected, and the document reportedly said so in careful detail. By multiple accounts, Marla hesitated. She asked for better terms. She did not want to sign. There were tense negotiations right up against the wedding date, and in the end, in the days before she walked down that aisle in white with the whole world watching, she signed it. Remember that agreement? It comes back. For a while, Marla Maples tried to build a real marriage inside a machine that was never designed to hold one. She talked openly about faith. She wanted the quiet things, a dinner where someone actually looked up and listened, and a home where a little girl could grow up without a camera pressed to the window. She kept working too, even taking a turn on Broadway, trying to be more than a caption under a famous man's face. Donald Trump wanted what Donald Trump has always wanted: the deal and the spotlight that came with it. Neither of those two lives is a sin on its own, but they do not fit under the same roof for very long. Friends and observers described a couple living two separate lives inside the same enormous apartment, warm for the photographers, distant once the doors closed. They would sometimes attend the same church, Marble Collegiate, and by her own account, they were sitting in that same pew for two entirely different reasons. She was looking for guidance. He, by most accounts, was looking at the room. And that is the quiet cruelty of it. The woman who had once been the most photographed face in America was slowly becoming the loneliest person in the building. She had won the man every headline said she wanted. She just could not reach him. Then came the morning that turned the marriage back into a spectacle. It is April 1996. It is around 4 o'clock in the morning on a beach in Delray Beach, Florida, and a police officer walks up on a woman sitting alone under a lifeguard stand in the dark. The woman is Marla Maples. Standing nearby is one of Donald Trump's bodyguards, a man named Spencer Wagner. Wagner tells the officer he is only there to protect her privacy. Marla tells the world the same thing. But it is 1996, and a Trump marriage is the single most valuable story in America. And by breakfast, the tabloids have already decided what a beach at 4 in the morning must have meant, without asking either of them a single honest question. Sit inside that moment for a second. The woman the whole country once chased for one photograph is now the one being cornered before sunrise, her name about to be printed as a punchline in every checkout aisle she used to be celebrated in. The machine she stepped into back in 1989 had finally swung all the way around, and now it was pointed straight at her. It got worse before it got quieter. Spencer Wagner's own wife went public with her version, claiming Marla had behaved badly toward her husband, which poured fuel on a fire that did not need any. Wagner was let go from his job a few months later, and after first insisting nothing improper had happened, he later changed his story in an interview and claimed it had two accounts flatly contradicting each other, none of it ever actually proven. But by then, proof was beside the point. The headline was already written, and the public had already chosen the version that sold. If a story like this keeps you here, subscribe and stay with us, because every single week, we go back to the ones the headlines got wrong. The marriage was over in everything but paperwork. And the paperwork, it turned out, was the whole point. The divorce was finalized in 1999, and this is where that agreement, the one she signed in the days before the wedding, came back for her. By reports, the settlement Marla Maples received was around $2 million. Now set that number next to what Ivana Trump had reportedly walked away with years earlier after her own divorce, and a lot of people did that math and landed on the very same conclusion. The contract had done exactly what it was built to do. It protected him. She left the marriage a great deal poorer than the fairy tale had promised, and the fine print was the reason. And there was a second clause, the quieter one, and in some ways the crueler one. Reports say the agreement limited what she could say publicly about the marriage for years after it ended. Think about what that does to a woman raised in a place where you speak your mind and you tell the truth to your neighbor's face. For a long stretch, the most talked about wife in America was, whether by a lawyer's hand or her own choosing, kept quiet about the one story the whole world wanted from her. Everyone else got to keep talking about Marla Maples. Marla Maples was the one person who did not get to talk back. So why did she really leave? Not for the reason the tabloids sold you. In the years since, she has said it plainly enough, they wanted two different lives, and love alone could not close the distance between them. That part is true, and it is the part she is comfortable saying out loud. But you are old enough to say the harder part for her? Marla Maples left that marriage the same way she entered it. Watched, judged, handed a contract. She learned the expensive way that you cannot build a family with a man whose first loyalty is to the spotlight. And she learned that the machine which once made her famous felt like something else entirely the day it finally came for her, instead of for someone else. There is an old word for that, and this audience knows it well. Karma keeps a longer memory than any tabloid. What she did next is the part that decides how you feel about her. She took the settlement, and she took her daughter, and she left. Later, she even auctioned off some of the jewelry from that chapter and used it to close the door for good. She did not write a scorched earth tell-all. She did not go on television to burn the man down. She raised Tiffany, mostly out on the West Coast, far from Trump Tower. She worked, she leaned back into her faith, she spoke about gratitude, and she let the loudest man in America stay loud without her in the frame. Whatever you think of how she came in, and this audience is more than entitled to a hard opinion about that, she went out quietly. And here is the last turn of the whole thing. The man on the other side of this story would marry again. The public would watch the same pattern play out one more time in the same bright light with a different woman standing where Marla once stood. The other woman who became a wife eventually learned the exact lesson the first wife already knew. So we will leave the verdict where it belongs. With you. Do you think Marla Maples finally walked away with her dignity intact? Or do you think she only ever got back what she once handed to another woman on those ski slopes in Aspen? There is no wrong answer, and we honestly want yours. Tell us in the comments and tell us where you are watching from tonight, because we read every single one. If this was worth your time, subscribe and stay with us. Next time, we are going all the way back to the beginning, to Ivana Trump and the divorce that started every bit of this, because the woman the whole world watched arrive got the last quiet word after all.